I don't owe you loyalty if we're not married, she said. So I told her she'd never have to worry about loyalty again. Now she's begging me to talk while I'm thriving alone. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. When I look back now, I can pinpoint the exact moment things started to shift, the moment I should have known who Sabrina really was. We'd been together for almost 3 years. I was 29, she was 28, and we were at that stage where people start asking about rings, mortgages, and timelines. We weren't perfect, but we were steady. I thought that counted for something. Sabrina was beautiful, warm brown hair, loud laugh, sharp confidence. The kind of person who could walk into a room and immediately dominate it. She worked in marketing, which made sense. She loved being seen, loved attention, loved the idea that everyone wanted her. I was the opposite. I wrote software for a logistics firm. Quiet, consistent, not flashy. My idea of a good night was a movie and takeout on the couch. Hers was a rooftop bar and 50 Instagram stories of cocktails. But I loved her. I really did. She had this spark that made every day feel alive. I just didn't realize how easily that spark could burn people too. It started small, harmless flirting, I thought. A coworker named Caleb started showing up in her stories. Tall, slick, confident, the type who always had a drink in hand. She'd tag him with captions like, "My favorite work twin," or "Work husband red heart." I ignored it at first. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. But one night, she posted a boomerang of them laughing at some bar, his arms slung around her shoulders, her head tilted toward him. The caption read, "My favorite headache face with tears of joy red heart." I stared at my phone for a good minute, that sinking feeling creeping into my chest. It wasn't jealousy, it was humiliation. It was knowing every person who saw that story probably thought I was a fool. When she came home, tipsy and glowing, I kept my voice calm. "Ethan, hey, can I ask you something? That post with Caleb, do you think that's a little disrespectful?" Sabrina, what? Oh my God, you're not seriously jealous of Caleb. Ethan, it's not jealousy. It just looked a little intimate, that's all. Sabrina, laughing, it's just a joke. We're close friends. He calls me his work wife. I call him my work husband. Everyone knows it's not serious. Ethan, then maybe you don't need to post it for everyone to see. Sabrina, you're so uptight sometimes. Seriously, relax. You know you're the real one. Don't turn this into some trust issue. Her tone wasn't defensive, it was dismissive, like I'd just said something childish. She patted my chest, kissed my cheek, and walked off to change. That night, she fell asleep instantly. I didn't. I laid there staring at the ceiling, wondering when expressing discomfort had turned into being controlling. I wasn't trying to cage her in. I just didn't want to be mocked in public by the person I loved. But I let it go. Because that's what you do when you're trying to be the reasonable one. You tell yourself you're overreacting, that she wouldn't cross a line. A few weeks later, she started going out more. Work happy hours, team bonding nights, late client calls. She always looked perfect before she left. Heels, red lipstick, new dresses. And every time, she'd say the same line with a teasing smirk. "Don't wait up for me, Mr. Responsible." She said it like a joke, but I could feel the distance growing. One Friday, I decided to surprise her by picking her up after her team event. She texted me that she'd be home late, but I was in the area anyway. When I parked outside the restaurant, I saw her through the window. Caleb was there, leaning close, his hand brushing her arm as she laughed. I watched for maybe 30 seconds before turning off the engine and driving home. The next morning, she came in humming, holding a coffee cup with Caleb's name scribbled on it in black marker. "Ethan, you guys seem pretty close these days." Sabrina, "We work together every day, Ethan. He's my friend." Ethan, "Do friends usually hold hands at dinner?" Sabrina, pauses, "Were you spying on me?" Ethan, "I drove by. I saw you." Sabrina, "Wow. Okay, that's not cool. That's really controlling behavior." That word, controlling, hit like a slap. She said it with practiced ease, like she'd been waiting to pull it out. Ethan, "You know what's not cool? Pretending loyalty doesn't matter." Sabrina, "Loyalty? Laughs. We're not married, Ethan. You don't own me. You can't expect exclusivity when we're not even engaged." I remember freezing. Ethan, "So until there's a ring, anything goes?" Sabrina, I'm just saying, I have a right to figure out what I want. You can't guilt me for that. That was the moment it all snapped into focus. Every joke, every flirtation, every time she called me too serious. She'd been rewriting the rules in her head for months. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stood there and said, quietly, Ethan, then you'll never have to worry about loyalty again. She looked confused, maybe expecting a fight. But I didn't give her one. I walked to the bedroom, grabbed my bag, and left. She didn't follow me. She didn't even call that night. And just like that, 3 years ended with one sentence that told me everything I needed to know. I didn't take much when I left. Just a duffel bag, my laptop, and a few shirts. Everything else, the furniture, the dishes, the framed photos we took on our trip to Portland, I left behind. I didn't want reminders. Driving away, there wasn't rage or heartbreak, just quiet disbelief. The kind that feels heavier than anger. I replayed her words in my head over and over. We're not married. You can't expect exclusivity. I'd never felt smaller than I did in that moment. I spent the night at my friend Adam's place. He didn't ask many questions, just handed me a beer and nodded when I said, "It's over." That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured her laughing with Caleb, the look of irritation she gave me when I asked for respect. The next morning, I texted her one sentence. "I'll be by later this week to grab the rest of my stuff." No response. When I showed up 2 days later, she was sitting on the couch in leggings and a hoodie, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. "Sabrina, you're seriously doing this?" "Ethan, yeah. I'm not sticking around for someone who thinks loyalty is optional." "Sabrina, God, you're being dramatic. I didn't cheat. We were just figuring things out." "Ethan, you were figuring things out with someone else while I was paying half your rent." "Sabrina, so what? You think that means I owe you my life?" "Ethan, no. Just honesty. But I guess that's asking too much." I packed quietly while she huffed and muttered under her breath. The whole time, she kept making snide comments, like she wanted to provoke me. "Sabrina, you'll never find someone who's as upfront as I am, you know. Most people lie." "Ethan, you just said loyalty doesn't matter. That's not honesty, that's selfishness." "Sabrina, maybe I just don't want to live by your old-fashioned rules." That was her final line before I left for good. Old-fashioned rules. It's funny, that phrase used to make me feel guilty, like I was out of touch. But as I stood there looking at the person who'd just justified betrayal, I realized that what she called old-fashioned was actually just basic respect. I didn't bother saying goodbye. I closed the door and drove off, feeling lighter with every mile. The next few weeks were quiet, too quiet. I went to work, went to the gym, tried to fill the hours. Every now and then, I'd reach for my phone, half expecting a message from her. There was nothing. She didn't call, didn't text. She just vanished. I guess she thought I'd come crawling back once I'd cooled down. Instead, I started cleaning my life out, unsubscribing from the noise. I stopped checking her socials, deleted our photos, blocked her number. I told myself, no closure, no explanations, just peace. And slowly, it started to work. About a month later, I got a call from Mia, a mutual friend who'd known both of us for years. "Mia, hey, you okay?" "Ethan, yeah, I'm good." "What?" "Mia, you didn't hear this from me, but she's seeing Caleb now. Officially." "Ethan, yeah, I figured." "Mia, she's been telling people you were too possessive. That's why she left." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. "Ethan, that's fine. Let her say whatever she needs to say." "Mia, you don't sound surprised." "Ethan, when someone can twist their own words that easily, they'll twist yours too." After that, I made a rule, never ask about her again. I focused on myself. Work became a kind of therapy. I took a project that required me to move to a different city, smaller, quieter, exactly what I needed. I started running again, cooking my own meals, reading before bed. For the first time in years, my life didn't revolve around someone else's mood. Months passed. My friends said I seemed calmer, lighter, and they were right. Sometimes, though, I'd get flashes, like when I'd pass a restaurant we used to go to or hear a song she loved. For a split second, I'd miss her. Not her as a person, but the idea of who I thought she was. Then I'd remember her words. "We're not married. You can't expect exclusivity." And the feeling would fade. About 6 months later, I got my first text from her since the breakup. Just one line, "Hey, I think we should talk. I feel like you misunderstood me." I stared at it for a while. Then I deleted it. No reply. No second thought. She wanted to talk about misunderstandings, but there was nothing to misunderstand. She'd said exactly what she meant, and I'd finally learned to listen. That was the day I realized silence wasn't emptiness. It was peace. I didn't think about Sabrina much after that. Not really. I was too busy rebuilding my life. My work picked up. I got promoted to lead developer within a year. I'd moved into a clean, simple apartment with huge windows and zero drama. Some weekends, I'd drive to the coast, sit by the water, and just breathe. For the first time in years, there wasn't anyone criticizing me for being too quiet or too predictable. Peace had started to feel like freedom instead of loneliness. Every now and then, someone would mention her name, an old friend, a coworker, someone who still followed her online. I never asked for details, but they'd spill out anyway. Apparently, Sabrina and Caleb were official now. They were the it couple at her office, posting selfies at bars, fancy dinners, even a beach trip with matching captions about finding your person. When Mia told me that, I just smiled. Mia, you're really okay with that? Ethan, if she's happy, great. Just means I was never the right person for her. Mia, you're taking this way too well. Ethan, I already paid the emotional bill. No point asking for a refund. And I meant it. I wasn't pretending. The anger had burned out a long time ago. But life has a funny way of looping back. About a year after the breakup, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Mia. Can I call? You're going to want to hear this." When she called, I could hear the mix of disbelief and amusement in her voice. "Mia, so Sabrina's not with Caleb anymore." "Ethan, that was quick." "Mia, yeah. Turns out Mr. Charisma had a side girlfriend. At their office." "Ethan, you're kidding." "Mia, nope. Apparently, he was sleeping with their project manager while living with Sabrina. She found out because the girl accidentally tagged him in a private story." "Ethan, ouch." "Mia, the best part? When she confronted him, he told her the same thing she told you." "Ethan, what?" "Mia, that they weren't married. So technically he didn't know her loyalty." I didn't laugh out loud, but I smiled. There it was, poetic justice. Mia continued. "Mia, she had a full meltdown at work. HR had to step in. Caleb's been reassigned. Everyone knows what happened." "Ethan, that's rough." "Mia, you're seriously not even a little happy about this?" "Ethan, let's just say she finally met someone who speaks her language." For the first time, I genuinely felt nothing. No spite, no satisfaction, just closure. Months went by, and I started noticing small signs of her unraveling online. Her posts shifted from glamorous dinner shots to vague, melancholic quotes about self-love and healing. Then, out of nowhere, she posted a photo of a ring with the caption, "New Beginnings." I learned later that she'd actually married Caleb after all, apparently trying to prove to everyone that what they had was real love, that I'd been the problem. It didn't last. 6 months into their marriage, he cheated again, this time publicly. Screenshots of his texts with another woman made their way through her office. I heard through friends that she tried to save face by pretending they were working through it, but eventually he left. He cleaned out their joint account, took her car, and disappeared. When Mia told me that, I just said, "Ethan, that's unfortunate." "Mia, that's it." "Ethan, that's all I've got." But later that night, when I was sitting alone at my desk, I couldn't help but think about how circular life can be. She'd mocked me for being too safe, for believing loyalty mattered, and she ended up learning that lesson from someone who had none. Meanwhile, my world was growing bigger. I'd been mentoring new developers at work, and one of them, a kid fresh out of college, told me, "You're the calmest guy I've ever met." I laughed, because 2 years earlier I'd been anything but. Peace changes people. Around that time, I started traveling again, small trips, solo hikes, weekends out of town. I didn't post about it, didn't announce anything. I just lived quietly, fully. And that's when the second text came. Same number as before, the one I'd deleted months earlier. "Hey, I know I messed up. I just wanted you to know I'm not with Caleb anymore." Things were complicated. I read it twice and put my phone down. I didn't block her this time, not because I wanted to talk, but because I wanted her to sit with the silence. 2 days later, another message popped up. "You were right about him. I should have listened. No reply. That was the moment I realized she wasn't reaching out for closure. She was reaching out because I represented something stable, something she destroyed and couldn't rebuild. And I wasn't about to become her emotional safety net. So I left her on read again. No anger, no satisfaction, just peace. Because when someone shows you that loyalty means nothing to them, the kindest thing you can do, for both of you, is disappear. By the time another year passed, Sabrina had become a ghost in my life. I never blocked her number, but her messages slowed to a trickle, short, guilt-ridden texts that never got answers. I still think about how things ended. You didn't deserve how I treated you. I just wish you'd let me explain. There was never an explanation I needed. She'd made her choice, and I'd made mine. Life had started to reward that quiet decisiveness. Work was going better than ever. I'd been promoted again, this time to project lead. I'd moved into a better apartment, picked up guitar lessons, started cooking again. I'd even reconnected with old friends who said I finally seemed like myself again. I wasn't chasing happiness. I was just living. And that's when karma really started showing its full hand. Mia called one evening while I was watching a movie. Mia, okay, you're not going to believe this. Ethan, if this is about Sabrina again, I might. Mia, it is. And yeah, it's bad. Turns out, after Caleb vanished, Sabrina was left with a mess. He'd drained their savings, left her with overdue rent, and trashed her credit. She'd begged her parents for help, but they were tired of bailing her out. Apparently, they'd warned her about Caleb from the start. She'd also been let go from her company. Office gossip had spread so badly that she couldn't stay, and her boss had encouraged her to resign quietly. Mia, she's back living with her parents now, working part-time at some local marketing firm. Ethan, that's rough. Mia, you know what's crazy? She keeps telling people you were the only guy who actually cared about her. I didn't respond to that. What was I supposed to say? That she was finally telling the truth? Weeks later, the inevitable happened. She showed up in person. I was walking home from the coffee shop on a rainy Sunday when I saw a familiar car parked outside my building. She stepped out before I could react. Hair shorter now, eyes tired, makeup barely hiding the exhaustion. Sabrina. Ethan, hey. She said it softly, like she was afraid her voice might break. Ethan, Sabrina. Sabrina, can we talk? Just 5 minutes. It had been over 2 years since we'd last spoken face to face. For a moment, I considered saying no, but something in her expression stopped me. Not hope, not anger, just defeat. We stood under the awning as rain poured around us. Sabrina, I know I don't deserve this, but I needed to see you. I've been trying to get my life back together, and I just keep thinking about you. About what I threw away. Ethan, you didn't throw it away, Sabrina. You traded it. Sabrina, I know. God, I know. And it wasn't worth it. Caleb, he was everything I thought I wanted, but he didn't care about me. He never did. She was trembling slightly. Not from the cold, from guilt. Ethan, you told me once I was too predictable, too safe. Sabrina, I was stupid. I wanted excitement. I thought love was supposed to be chaos. But you made things easy. You made me feel calm, and I mistook that for boredom. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of the rain filled the silence. Sabrina, I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For lying. For betraying you. For everything. There was a time when I would have given anything to hear those words. But standing there, I realized how little they mattered now. Ethan, I appreciate that. Really. But I don't hate you, Sabrina. I just stopped needing you to matter. She flinched, not because I said it cruelly, but because it was honest. Sabrina, is there any chance we could try again? Not right now, but maybe someday. Ethan, no. Her eyes glossed with tears. Sabrina, I figured you'd say that. Ethan, you deserve peace too. But I can't be part of your healing. That's yours to do. She nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. Then she whispered, Sabrina, you really did love me, didn't you? Ethan, yeah. And that's why I had to let you go. She stood there for a while, like she wanted to say something else, but couldn't find the words. Finally, she turned and walked back to her car. The door closed, the engine started, and she drove off without looking back. I never saw her again. But I did get one final message that night. Thank you for not hating me. I hope you're happy. I typed a reply, then deleted it. Some stories don't need an ending. They just need to stop. That was the night I realized peace isn't something you find after pain. It's what's left when you stop trying to make sense of it. A year later, I stopped thinking about Sabrina altogether. That's how I knew I'd truly moved on. Not because I'd replaced her, or gotten revenge, or blocked her on every app, but because she simply didn't cross my mind anymore. Life had become quiet in the best possible way. I'd left my old firm and started my own small design consultancy. It was risky at first, but word of mouth grew fast, and within months, I was working with 3 major clients, all through referrals. It felt like a clean slate in every sense. I bought a small townhouse, started running on weekends, and joined a few charity projects around town. I was even mentoring younger designers, something I'd never thought I'd have the patience for. When people say success is the best revenge, they're half right. Success didn't feel like revenge, it felt like peace earned the hard way. Then, in the spring, Karma decided to circle back for a curtain call. My company was sponsoring a local professional networking gala, open bar, live music, industry people everywhere. I wasn't even planning to go, but one of my team members convinced me. Jamie, come on, boss, you're the reason we're even invited. You can't skip it. Ethan, fine. But if it's all small talk and fake smiles, I'm leaving early. I went. It was one of those big hotel ballroom events, polished, predictable, buzzing with self-importance. I was halfway through a conversation about branding strategy when I heard my name. Ethan, I turned, and there she was. Sabrina. She looked different. Not in a bad way, just real. No layers of glamour. No carefully curated confidence. Her hair was darker, shorter. The spark she used to fake so easily wasn't there anymore. Ethan, Sabrina. Sabrina. Wow, I didn't think I'd see you here. Ethan, same. For a second, neither of us knew what to say. Then she smiled, nervous but trying to hold composure. Sabrina, you look good. Successful. Everyone here seems to know you. Ethan, I've been keeping busy. Sabrina, yeah, I've heard. You started your own firm, right? That's amazing. Her voice cracked slightly on amazing. Ethan, thanks. Things are going well. Sabrina, that's really good to hear. The silence between us was heavier than before. Not angry, just final. Sabrina, I'm actually doing contract work now. It's been rough since. Well, you probably heard. Ethan, I heard some things. Sabrina, yeah, Caleb really messed me up. He cheated, too. Multiple times. Took money from me, lied about everything. It's like I got punished for being stupid. I didn't say anything. There was no satisfaction in it, just inevitability. Sabrina, I've been trying to get my career back on track. But no one takes me seriously anymore. The people I thought were my friends, they just disappeared. She looked at me then, eyes glassy. Sabrina, you must think I deserve all of it. Ethan, I don't think about it at all. That hit harder than anything else I could have said. She blinked, visibly thrown off balance. Sabrina, I've tried to move on too. But nothing feels right. Every relationship since you has been chaos. It's like I'm paying for what I did to you. Ethan, that's not my business anymore, Sabrina. You made choices, and you're living with them, same as I did. We all end up where our habits take us. Sabrina, you sound so calm. Like none of it ever mattered. Ethan, it mattered. Once. But pain stops being relevant when you grow past it. She swallowed hard, looking down. Around us, people were laughing, networking, moving on with their night. The contrast was brutal. She looked frozen in time while the world spun forward. Sabrina, can I just say one thing? Ethan, go ahead. Sabrina, you were the only person who ever wanted to build something real with me. And I destroyed it because I thought I could do better. I was wrong. I let out a quiet breath. Not anger. Not pity. Just closure. Ethan, you didn't just lose me, Sabrina. You lost the version of yourself that someone could have built a life with. Her eyes filled instantly. Sabrina, I know. I gave her a small, polite nod. Ethan, take care of yourself. And I turned to rejoin my team. I didn't look back. That night, I stayed longer than planned. Not to prove anything, just because I was having a genuinely good time. I met new people, talked about future collaborations, even got invited to a panel for next year's event. As I was leaving, Jamie grinned at me. Jamie, man, you were killing it out there. Everyone's talking about your firm. Ethan, that's the goal. Jamie, who was that woman you talked to earlier? She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Ethan, just someone from the past. When I got home that night, I checked my phone out of habit. One new message. Seeing you tonight reminded me who I could have been if I hadn't ruined everything. I hope you keep being happy, even if I'm not part of it. I didn't reply. I archived the message and went to bed. And for the first time in years, I slept without a single thought of her. Because the truth is, peace doesn't need an audience. It just needs distance. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.